Hello, I'm SKZ and welcome to a Bakudika story. If you don't like, please leave.
This is a story where Katsuki got sick and Izuku as his boyfriend helps him.
So let's start, shall we?
After a mission in the rain, Katsuki fell ill. Although he had been offered several things to protect himself from the rain, he always refused them, saying he was strong enough to withstand a little rain.
And he was the only one on the team who ended up shivering with cold and on the verge of going to the hospital. While the others were in class or doing some other activity, Katsuki had a high fever, a red nose, and watery eyes. Even though he felt like he was dying and refused to accept it, they wouldn't let him go to class until he got better. But since he couldn't stay alone, Professor Oisama asked someone to accompany him during his illness and at least cook for him.
Katsuki initially objected, almost choking on his snot.
And guess what? He asked Deku. Oh yeah, his UHM boyfriend.
Oh,
this was going to take a long time.
He closed his eyes on his bed, barely raising his hands to squeeze his eyes shut, and let out a groan.
He was boiling too.
Well, Kaken?
He heard it then.
It was Deku's soft voice creeping into his thoughts.
He opened his eyes and lowered his hands with a jerk. Turning toward Deku's voice,
"Well, what?"
he asked aggressively.
Deku looked at him with those damn puppy dog eyes, holding a damn towel in his hand.
You were very thoughtful, so I was wondering what you were thinking about, he said softly, approaching Katsuki to carefully place the towel on his forehead.
Katsuki blushed.
He was about to respond, but feeling Deku put the towel on his forehead made him feel even hotter.
His tongue went numb. Why does it matter to why you?
Oh shit, why the hell was he stuttering?
He was embarrassed. His stomach twisted. No,
it was love, an attack of the purest love.
Kaken. He looked up at Deku, who was looking at him so tenderly.
He was going to explode. Oh my god, he was going to explode. He inhaled and exhaled heavily, his heart beating wildly.
And it was at that precise moment that he felt Deku's warm, calloused hand brush down his cheek.
Oh my god. Kaken, you're boiling even more. Deku removed his hand and walked away, leaving Katsuki a complete mess.
Katsuki watched as the boy who was luckily his boyfriend walked over to a bag with a pharmacy logo on it. "I'm going to give you these pills and you're going to take a bath,"
Deku exclaimed, plunging his hand into the bag.
Katsuki shuddered. "Take a shower?" Deku looked at him, trying to appear angry.
Of course.
Katsuki frowned.
No, what do you mean, no?
No, Katsuki turned away, staring at the wall. "Do you want to die?"
Deku demanded, a plan already forming in his head.
"Well, that's your problem. Dying is for the weak." Katsuki, who until then had been staring at the wall, turned around quickly at those words, almost falling off the bed. "I'm not weak,"
he shouted, the towel on his forehead flying off. Deku smiled at him. That smile that he knew would make Katsuki angry.
"Well, if you're not weak, you have to prove to me that you're going to take a shower and take these pills." Katsuki pouted like a little kid.
Deku couldn't help but smile a little.
He knew Katsuki was very sick, too sick to let these emotions out. He felt human, he felt. "I don't know. Only if you bathe me."
You know what? Never mind.
These words hit Izuku like a bucket of cold water. "Bathe you?"
he asked, incredulous.
Katsuki nodded.
Yes, bathe me, bathe us together. Deku blinked several times, processing this information.
"No," he finally said. Katsuki let out a groan.
What? Why not?
"It's unnecessary." Katsuki rolled his eyes. "We've seen each other before."
You've seen me before. It's not like you're going to die.
"Kaken,
shut up. I have to cook."
Izuku interrupted him, blushing bright red with embarrassment. Katsuki raised an eyebrow.
Like the kitchen is downstairs, Deku took a stove out of the bag.
Katsuki was speechless.
How long has that been there? Since Aizawa brought it to me.
Katsuki was silent for a few moments and then came up with something else.
But you don't have any food. Deku raised an eyebrow and took a small bag of food out of the bag.
"They brought me a ration for you." Katsuki was silent for a few minutes.
Fine, give me that damn pill and I'll go take a shower. Deku smiled, a smile full of complicity. Sure, and he finally took the pills out of the bag. He grabbed a bottle of water that was nearby and approached Katsuki.
Katsuki looked at him with concealed anger and took the pills from Izuku's hand, taking one out and swallowing it without water. And even though he almost choked, he hid it. "Kaken, don't do that. You have to take the pills with water." Katsuki narrowed his eyes.
Water is for weaklings. And throwing off the blankets, he got up,
stretching his large muscles. "I'll make you pay, Deku." With these words, he headed for the bathroom and went in, locking the door behind him. As he stood under the warm stream of water, something began to smell very burnt. He tried to ignore it.
The water was relaxing him, and maybe it was just his imagination.
However, the smell grew stronger and stronger.
Even with his nose so congested with mucus, he could smell that strong odor. Am I burning? He wondered. Maybe the fever was making him hallucinate.
Or maybe he really was burning. It wasn't until he heard a small scream. His hand quickly reached for the shower handle and turned it off. Shit! He heard his boyfriend's voice from the other side of the door. Shit was what he must have said. He had barely put soap on part of his body. He still needed his conditioner, his shampoo, many things. Yes, he had taken the bath seriously. Then he knew that the smell was coming from outside.
He was barely left alone without a supervisor, and he was already setting the room on fire. Even though it was just a mini stove specially designed for emergencies.
His hand tightened around the handle. He didn't know whether to go out with half his body covered in soap or take a quick shower and skip his skincare and haircare routines. He washed his soapy half body and turned off the shower.
Then he got out, barely drying himself, and wrapped the towel around his waist.
His wet feet echoed through the bathroom until he threw open the door, greeted by a strong smell of burning and smoke.
Deku, what the hell are you doing?
He asked, approaching where he could barely see his boyfriend through the smoke. Deku tensed up.
I'm cooking.
Katsuki started coughing. Are you cooking a person or something?
This smells awful. He quickly went to the window and opened it, letting all the smoke out.
Besides, do you want to kill us?
You're going to burn everything down.
When the view finally cleared, Katsuki stared at him. Deku smiled nervously, showing him his pot. Katsuki sighed and approached his boyfriend, inspecting the supposed soup with Izuku blushing at the sight of Katsuki wearing only a towel.
Kaken, it's cold and you're in. He was interrupted by Katsuki's finger silencing him. Shh, let me analyze this thing.
Deku looked down as Katsuki raised an eyebrow. I saw something like this in the trash yesterday.
Deku fell silent.
Throw it away. It's not even edible anymore. Deku nodded and set the pot aside.
I'll do it, Kaken.
But first, go cover yourself up. You're too sick to be like this. Katsuki looked at him and crossed his arms, ignoring the snot running down his nose. I don't want to.
Deku frowned.
You're going to get sicker. Katsuki laughed. No. Deku approached him, wrapping his arms around him. You haven't even dried it properly. Do you want to freeze to death? Katsuki responded by wrapping his arm around him.
Freeze to death? What's going to kill me is that soup you made earlier.
Deku pouted, looking at Katsuki with puppy dog eyes.
Come on, dry yourself off.
Katsuki let go of him and untangled the knot in the towel. Deku blushed.
Not here.
Pervert. Katsuki had already dried himself off, gotten dressed, and was back in bed.
However, he left Deku somewhat pensive and embarrassed.
He smiled smugly, looking at his boyfriend sitting at the foot of the bed. It's not like it's the first time, you idiot, he said in a voice thick with phlegm. Deku looked at him angrily. I'm going to make you some tea.
No, not so fast.
Katsuki grabbed his arm and pulled him back onto the bed, this time next to him.
Let's cuddle. That way my cold will go away faster.
Deku complained, trying to break free. I'll get sick too. Katsuki responded with a silly smile.
Then let's get sick together, like the love fever we are. And taking his blanket, he pulled Izuku under it.